Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most overpowered new CLEROMANCY cache build in Borderlands 4. The crazy part about this is we have an answer to every single problem that can pop up. We can delete this boss and guarantee to get the platinum time in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6. I unfortunately have not been able to get Ultimate Vault Hunter 7 despite beating this boss hundreds of times now with cache, but that is a glitch. I have it on every single other character. The fun part about this is it lets you use some different weapons that you may not want to use, like the Herald here, which I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan of. It is actually quite strong on this setup, and we have a very ammo hungry build here. As you can see, we're able to destroy Thol here very quickly, but the best part is even if you run out of ammo, having this heavy ordnance is crazy because it has infinite ammo with this setup, so you again have an answer to every single problem. And the best part, I'm using the worst possible rolls for pretty much every single piece of gear on this, so I'll be showing you how to get this platinum time easily here. We're gonna go after Subjugator here just to make this a lot simpler, but this build is crazy. It does an insane amount of damage here, and it's also a lot of fun to play. And we can use the new Constable shotgun here, which is pretty insane, as you can see. You can also use the jailbroken Gatling, which is a new weapon that was added in this DLC, and it comes with a bunch of ammo swappers. And also the Herald here, as you're gonna see, is actually quite insane with the amount of damage that we'll get out of this build. So I think this is one of the craziest cache builds that's possible right now, and it gives you pretty much infinite dice. Like, they come back so quickly. You don't even have to use a heavy ordnance because you can use the Don't Go Jason waterfalls and get an insane amount of damage. But pretty much every single weapon here is gonna be very powerful here, allowing you to get that Ultimate Vault Hunter 6, unfortunately not 7 because I'm glitched, time easily and get that platinum trophy. So yeah, as you saw there, platinum rank, very quick and very easy. It's actually insane. What we gonna get? What we gonna get? Oh baby, yeah, this jailbroken Gatling is actually really nice on this build. So for a brief overview, using all the new pearlescent weapons here, you don't need these. There's actually a lot of weapons from the base game that are even better than this. We also have things like the new flak cannon, which are fun, but again, you can use grenades like waterfall. And with the Turn of Fate, we got an insane amount of survivability, which allows us to fuel into our From Gloam to Glow. So I'll take you guys from level 1 all the way through. So if you're leveling, the way to do this is, I like to go with Charm Bracelets here. Skill damage is going to give us more damage onto our bone totems and skill damage. Now, you could alternatively go with Sweet Roll early on for the extra health that you'd get from this. Afterwards, we've got a couple options. I like the Red Moon Rising to get bonus incendiary damage, and this is going to be with our guns and our little summons here. But alternatively, O Fortuna will give you increased elemental effect damage, chance, and windfall chance. But we don't really have any issue getting into windfall. I like the Red Moon Rising. After this, we're going to take a point into Luckless, so whenever we activate our action skill, which we're going to have an infinite amount of, we're going to jinx enemies, make them take 20% more damage, and we take 30% less damage. This is great. After that, you got either Riding High, which will increase your windfall time, which isn't super necessary since we go into windfall pretty much every time that we breathe. So Bone Meal Ticket, which is great for a lot of these builds, because what we want is we want to have the Angry Totem out, because this, whenever we roll a 10, is going to create an Angry Totem that increases our gun damage over time. This will scale up pretty crazy, especially if we're able to kill enemies often with this. Now, to add a bit of extra survivability, we're going to throw in Turn of Fate here, so whenever Windfall is active, we'll get Lifesteal. If our health is full, it gives us Overshield Steal, and this is important because we're then going to be able to just basically fuel our Gloam to Glow infinitely. You have to take 1 point into Can't Stop Winning. This is an essential skill on any green build because whenever we get a critical hit, we have a chance to enter Windfall, so you don't have to spam the Hot Slugger like I posted in a few other builds. Now, we're also going to add in 1 point here from Alchemy. This is actually insane, and all we need is 1 point because when we apply an elemental effect, we get a stack of fortune. This is where the Don't Go Jason waterfalls comes into effect because you can throw one of those and get an insane amount of fortune stacks easily. But we're also going to be doing a lot of extra elemental damage, so this can work out well too. Now after this, we're going to want to add in the red skill tree because that's where From Gloam to Glow, even though it is nerfed, it works fantastically well with this Overshield Steal that we get from the green skill tree. We got options here for your Huckleberry giving you increased critical hit damage. We're going to be doing lots of crits, so that's nice, but Unleash is just so good. Increasing your fire rate is obviously very nice, but this is flat out DPS boost. After this, we got a couple options, critical hit damage again, or we can go with Stand and Bleed. I prefer this because this gives us extra action skill critical hit chance too, which is also quite nice. And then after that, I like to take a single point into Trick Shot here. This gives us a ricochet chance. Basically what we're going to be using this for is to potentially grab ourselves War Wagon because this creates kinetic bone shards, which will end up triggering this as well. And then I like to put the rest of the points into Hot Hand here. So we only need 4 points. This gives us bonus incendiary damage, the higher our fire rate, and our fire rate is boosted pretty nice. When the level cap increases, taking the Devil's Tines can be okay, but the more dice you add into your pool, it's oftentimes not really that much more effective. So taking less of the Devil's Tines is okay here. You could potentially take it if you wanted. And I might just for the purpose of this, so we'll go with 1 point into here. Now after this, we want to get our war wagon here. So it's kind of cool because we can take a point of truck full of nitro, bonus kinetic damage to ordnance and gear. This is great because this allows us to get extra bonus damage to trigger war wagon, but we're going to grab lawless here, giving ourselves the increased kinetic damage, which then takes us to war wagon. So this is really good because whenever Cash deals kinetic damage to an enemy, he gains a chance to refill his ammo into his gun. It also applies to heavy ordnance, as you saw, and restore action skill duration with diminishing returns. I also want to mention again, this does work on your heavy ordnance because heavy ordnances are counted as guns. There's people calling me a cheater because I was using builds like this on Harlow as well that get infinite heavy ordnance. You can do that. It's not a cheat. It's a literal mechanic in the game. Just wanted to point that out before I have people complaining again. But after that, we're then also going to take Pale Rider. So our action skills deal bonus kinetic damage. Really anything that's going to give us that extra kinetic damage is quite nice. And then you can put the final point into the Lawless here to further increase our kinetic damage even further. After this, we're then going to come over. The Mr. Pocket doesn't work really on this build at all. So we're going to take Unshaken. This will give us extra damage from all sources for every fortune stack that we lose. Again, since this doesn't work on this build, we're going to take this. You can also take 1 point into Dusty Trail here. I just happen to have it from the class mod, so I can skip out on that and put our points into From Gloam to Glow. So this will give us max. They changed the skill. It still works very well. So whenever Cash loses a fortune stack, his shots from his gun deal bonus damage equal to his overshield and drains a portion of his overshield. This is not much of a worry because we can actually sustain our overshield very easily. So even though this used to be super broken, it's still pretty broken in a certain way. So yeah, we're going to take this. I do have a class one that's giving me more points into it. Ideally, you'd get 5 points plus. I only have one that has +3. I was running with a +1 and was still able to get the, actually, even without any points, extra points into Gloam to Glow, 5 out of 5 will get you the platinum time, no problem. After this, we have 3 points left over. We're going to take Nothing Beats Lead. So this takes our elemental damage. So if you have another weapon that doesn't do kinetic, you can then deal kinetic damage, which gives you infinite ammo on that. So you only need 1 point, but it's kind of nice. This is like Amara's skill from Borderlands 3. Very powerful. So basically to recap, we're taking these for the bonus kinetic, and this turns it into kinetic because all of that fuels War Wagon. With the last 2 points, you can continue to come on. Taking Brimstone can be kind of fun, but this isn't really super useful. We're just looking for that fire rate increase. My choice is to come over into this skill tree here. High Stakes gives you some nice bonuses, but grabbing Fortune's Favor, since we're going to have a ton of overshield often, this will give us increased gun damage, and it does count very well. So you could put another point into Turn the Fates to give you even further lifesteal, which is just crazy, but a couple points into Fortune's Favor to end this off will give us increased gun damage and skill damage. Another choice is taking a point into Accursed Bones, because this will also jinx enemies, and we get lifesteal against jinx enemies, so you could put 1 point there and put 1 point here for even further lifesteal. The great thing about this lifesteal, it's a little different from how this works, but it just gives you lifesteal against any of these targets. Typically you'll get them with Luckless, but anyone that's not nearby, you can then jinx them using Accursed Bones. It's not fully necessary. Alternatively, Tormented will give you increased critical hit damage against these, so that can be nice. It's actually more bang for your buck for crit rate than the other skills in this tree. I like the Fortune's Favor here to end off. Now for what we're going with for augments here, the Heavenly Sevens is really nice because this is based on our overshield. So whenever we spawn roll 7s, we get a protector totem that'll give us overshield when it spawns, and this grants him and his allies increased fire rate and reload speed based on how much shield they have. So this will further increase our fire rate. It's one that you do have to roll, but we can throw out so many dice with this that it's just very powerful. 5 is Alive is another fun one here because this gives us Chain Lightnings, which is going to give us a bit of extra statuses, which again comes around and helps us with the alchemy there. So that is another choice for an augment. Again, all you really need is this one here because this is based off our shield. Another choice is the Three's Company here. This will give you basically this back, and we get increased windfall duration for every totem. And one I also want to recommend is actually probably the best to choose here is Mighty 9, because when you go into Fight for Your Life, if we have a bone totem out, we get a free second win. This is your get out jail free card, and it will also give us a free Cleromancy charge. It's actually kind of nuts. So this all pairs together very well. And again, you don't need to use the Devil's Tines here, but this build will also scale very well with the upcoming level cap increase in the fall. Now, there's actually a lot of class mods that can potentially work on here, like the Whale. It's kind of funny because with the Whale, you can get some decent rolls on here, giving us even further lifesteal, and this will turn your action skill cooldown rate into damage, so it can be actually pretty impactful. And what this does is every time you gain a stack of fortune, you restore 10% of your action cooldown, plus 20% fire rate, plus 25% reload speed. So this boosts up your overall damage output. But what's nice about this is we get so many fortune stacks easily. We can shed them quickly because we got alchemy here. I also do want to quickly mention that you should have that point into Dusty Trail as well, because whenever you slide, you lose your fortune stack. So you can chain your way through and use the whale class mod to get that all back really easily. I tried the new Prestidigitator class mod. It doesn't really work well here. I did post a build yesterday where you can use the crossfire and cards together. It's kind of fun, but it is a little bit weird. The gamer though still works well because this can double dip on damage. When you crit an enemy, you get to bleed them, dealing extra damage towards them. That can be pretty fun. But the one that I like to use is Wind Rider, because this gives us from Gloam to Glow, which obviously is pretty impactful, but this is also good for mobbing, because when we kill an enemy with a gun, we double our fortune stacks. Otherwise, when we kill an enemy without it, we drain half of them. So again, when we lose our stacks, we get big boosts to our overall damage, and we don't have any issue with getting fortune stacks with this build. Most cash builds, you don't really. Whenever we gain fortune, we get 5% of our maximum heal, but whenever we lose fortune, we gain 8% max overshield. So the reason that we like this is basically you want to try and shed your fortune stacks as much as possible by sliding. This class mod can also give you the sliding skill there, and from Gloam to Go. The best roll would be to give yourself a +5 to Gloam to Glow. This comes with damage dealt plus 23%. I have plus 35% status effect damage. If you can find crit damage or gun damage, those would be good as well. Again, I'm not using the min-max gear, and I'm not even using perfect firmware, but I will explain what firmware would be best. It's just annoying to farm that stuff out, and I don't want for anyone that's playing to have to use a perfect build to get the platinum time. You can do this again with literal scraps. But this class mod also comes with the dealer's bluff here. I actually did a build where I was testing all day today. It's my birthday and I spent all day cash building. But the green and the blue skill tree work together okay, but the damage is not as high as red and green. But dealer's bluff, whenever we gain a stack of fortune, we get 21% of our action skill cooldown back. So basically you're gonna get your fortune stacks back, you're gonna get your action skill back, and you just keep spamming the dice. It is really silly, but the best roll for this would be to 5 points of Gloam to Glow, 1 in the slide and 1 in the blue skill. Now, one shield that just is best in slot is always the Watch for Dinner. The nice thing about the Watch for Dinner is you don't have to farm for any other shield, but we're looking for a particular siphon roll here. This just makes things a lot easier for us, because when we deal damage, there's a 10% chance to give ourselves overshield. This makes us insanely tanky even with a small shield. There is a new collector shield that you could use if you wanted to, and if you're mobbing, the fireworks can work well. But honestly, just getting a siphon Watch for Dinner for the bonus shock damage is so good, because that'll apply statuses for alchemy easily. And again, I'm not really using perfect rolls here, but Jacobs, anything Jacobs is nice, especially with the constable shotgun here. So with this one here, we have reload speed, which is entirely useless because we don't have to reload. The bounce pass would be ideal though for that increased ricochet chance, which gives you even better chance to keep your infinite ammo and all that. This also, if you can get grind critical hit chance, that's really nice. This one just came with gun damage, so it's really up to you. There's nothing like super perfect in terms of what you need, because this build is just powerful with its own skills. Now the flak cannon is a really good new weapon. It can have some okay rolls, flacking good, or you can have a really good one here with the explosive rounds, which will increase the overall damage. It only can come with explosive rounds as far as I know from farming on all 5 different characters that I got. 82k DPS is pretty solid, but it does go higher. Other than that, a lingering payload waterfall will be really nice, because you can throw this, it triggers alchemy, and then you get pretty much infinite dice from throwing that. So if you prefer to be a grenade thrower, you can do that. Or I like to have the flak cannon, because having a heavy ordnance, even things like the roly-poly, tongue wag, etc. are great, because with these you have infinite ordnance, so you can just use this if you run out of bullets, because the constable is a hungry hippo in terms of weapon, because it goes through his ammo so quickly. But I like to also just have the triple bypass. This isn't really necessary. The kill spring's probably the ideal roll here, because this keeps you alive and it turns into the healing orbs, which will hunt and find people to keep you alive with. But triple bypass is nice too. But for our firmware, I don't have them on right now, but Skillcraft is good. High caliber for piercing bullets is great. Deadeye 3, high caliber 2 would be my perfect roll. But honestly, after farming for gear all day, I did not want to look at the firmware transfer. It is annoying. Skillcraft, high caliber, Deadeye. Deadeye 3, 2 high caliber would be my choice. Now for weapons, I've just been using the new weapons because I want to have fun with them, and all of them that you see here are valid. So I went through and I tested a ton of different weapons. There's so many good ones for this build, but the Herald with a Ripper part is actually kind of insane because while it doesn't do pretty good damage, it stacks from Gloam to glow very well, as you saw in the combat section. The Constable doing Constable things, this is pretty powerful because it leaves little lingering pellets along that do crazy amounts of damage with this setup. I actually equipped 2 of them. They chew through your ammo really quickly. It's the only downside because they take 2 shots per fire, but I don't even have like perfect rolls here. Like this one's only 15k DPS, but you saw it shredded the boss very quickly, and these will fire really fast. You can just spam your left mouse button or your trigger and it'll do crazy damage. Jailbroken Gatling. This one's really fun. I got this with, unfortunately, shotgun ammo. We're burning through our shotgun ammo today, but if you got pistol, assault rifle, or sniper round, that is probably ideal. This shoots really quickly. You get a stack of backfire whenever you fire this, and it scales up the damage pretty crazy. I also like the new the Abyss gun. This gun's really powerful. Doesn't perfectly fit on this build, but it's a fun one. The new Juliet Sparkle can also work here too, and you can also get it with multiple different roles, like the assault rifle ammo here. Flash Cyclone doing Flash Cyclone things. It is very strong in this setup. The Screwstonian is the only new pearlescent that kind of sucks on this build. I don't really love it here. Dark Beast, still a really good one, but I got a shotgun one, and we want to keep our shotgun ammo as much as possible. I tried the Prowler, it just doesn't really work as well on this setup. The Falk can work here. This is the one build where Hot Slugger doesn't actually benefit as much. I do have builds for the Hot Slugger if you want. You can go with an Underbarrel Spread Launcher. I only have it at level 50 here. This is actually a hand-me-down from Rafa. It's okay. I like the Underbarrels. They're pretty powerful, especially if you need a second wind. Crazed Earl actually works very well in this build as well. The multiple projectiles, it was fixed in this update. Great weapon. The Golden God, another good weapon. Heralds with the Ripper parts are my personal favorite. I did mess around with the Scoot and Shoot. It doesn't fit this build as well, but it's still a fine option. The Shammy Kablammy can also work. This is a new weapon added with the DLC. And even things like the Roulette actually work decently well despite its massive nerf. It can be fun. The Shalashishka I love, but it doesn't fit this build very well because you have infinite ammo, so it's impossible to use this. You have to shoot at the ground and reload it manually 5 times to get the most out of it. The Crow Source works well, and some other weapons, things like the Convergence, any type of multi-projectile. So there's a lot of purple Maliwan SMGs that work very well in this setup. The Rooker was fixed, but it still does some pretty silly stuff. I wouldn't recommend using it though, just because it'll likely get patched, but if you got the vault card to get it, may as well. I completely forgot to take off Now with Caffeine. I was experimenting. We don't need Now with Caffeine. What we want to set up with is we want to go for the perfect setup would be to go with anything that boosts our Ordnance, because you can use your Ordnance to get crazy damage. So Fragmented Payload, you saw the Heavy Ordnance. This gives us a increased critical hit damage. Full Spectrum Arsenal takes the gun damage increases, and Double Dips, because Heavy Ordnances they already get gun damage increases. So if you have 100% extra gun damage, it's actually 150% using the Full Spectrum Arsenal. We're also then going to take I Am a Gun to further stack up the damage that we got. So these can all work really well. There's also things like Contamination. Critical hits will give increased status effect application chance, which gives us the, in our blue skill tree, that skill here, Alchemy, that just allows us to stack that a lot quicker. There's even things like the Compounding Afflictions here, because we're going to put a lot of statuses on enemies and get increased damage. And if you're not using heavy ordnances at all, you can then go with something like really this for 50% extra gun damage. That is honestly a pretty solid option because it feeds into our other skills as well. So I'll show you this in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 True Mode. Unfortunately, again, my game's glitched and I can't actually get this, but the damage from the Constable with Gloam to Glow is insane. You can see here, you just chunk away boss's health bars. I don't have the Gloam to Glow stacking right now, but once I lose these stacks, you just have to go ahead and slide here. That's going to clear off your stacks and do insane damage. And one of the cool things is the longer we have the angry totems out, the higher damage you end up getting. So you can see here, I'm using a fire weapon right now, which is not ideal. I'm getting an insane amount of dice because you just continually keep getting dice. It's kind of absurd. So then whenever you need to, you can go and slide and lose all your stacks there. I went back into the mode, or into our mode there. We got ourselves more dice, and then you just continually keep spamming because you can then get more of the those stacks. So the damage from this is pretty crazy. This weapon, again, I'm using a fire weapon, so it's not ideal. I'll just use a normal kinetic based weapon here. The flak cannon is actually pretty insane. I really like this because it works so well with the setup and it gives you an infinite ammo source. And here's the new Jailbroken Gatling, which is pretty crazy. So I'm going to use the SMG version, which is like the weaker version. basically what you're trying to do is go and lose all your stacks as soon as possible and then get yourself the Gloam to glow increases here. It's pretty insane. So we got, if you have, yeah, I got 10 stacks almost immediately here because we apply so many statuses, but that's where the waterfall grenade comes in handy because you can use the waterfall and do some pretty silly stuff with that. I'll swap it over to the shotgun mode here so you can see the damage from this thing that goes insane. And once we get the Gloam to glow stacking, this is an Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 true. The damage from this is absurd. So if this video is useful, please hit the subscribe button below. We'll catch you guys all in the next one. I hope you all have an amazing day. This build is really fun. We'll see you in the next one.